Okay, let's do a quick review of the different levels of wisdom. I will go over level 3 wisdom quickly because you missed it. And then we'll jump into the energy of level 3 wisdom. Okay, Ron, let's do some mental activation. Why
Okay.
don't you teach us what is what are some of the levels of wisdom? Okay, this is based on your note on the
Yes.
Wednesday. So we
Well, I
officially
know, I
going
know
to.
level
Mhm.
one wisdom is knowing right from wrong.
Okay. Okay, good.
And
Okay.
level two wisdom is
Your favorite one.
the yes, my favorite one, but you put me on the spot.
Root?
Oh yeah, the root of my own life.
Mhm.
And
Root.
third one, root cause of my life. And third one, let me check my notes.
What is the root cause of life? Yeah, you go ahead and use your note. Okay.
The third one is this zero.
Oh yes, emptiness, total
Mm,
emptiness.
okay. Okay,
Just needed a hint and then I'll remember.
we'll go over some details on on
Yes,
the level 3 today. Mhm.
yes. So
But try
level
to get,
total emptiness.
yeah, not total emptiness. Um, so I'm just gonna read through the official definition, okay?
Okay.
Because as a reminder, reminder, all things in life has a physical or material manifestation. Okay, material manifestation. Scientists has been able to determine that in order for anything to have a material manifestation or physical manifestation that we can feel, touch, measure, count, in order for that material to exist in or observable, then it needs a basic information, the way it is made up. Okay, the way it is arranged give rise to the energy within that object, which give rise to the material manifestation that we can see, feel, touch, taste, hear, and become aware of. Okay. Um, I think that is also where we kind of left off, right? The reality triangle at the in the 24-hour sharing. It is the same thing with wisdom. Okay, wisdom is a intangible, it is a non-material concept. But using this same tool, we can materialize it. We can materialize wisdom by constructing or exploring the informational aspect of it, the source concept of it. That we can, from the source concept, we will discover the energy of it, and then we can discover the material aspect of even things that are non-material. Okay, so when you study, you try to um, get the source concept as accurate as you can, because the way the information is constructed, the way the words are arranged, it actually give rise to a certain energy, and it give rise to the physical material reality. Right? Just like coal and diamond. Coal and diamond is just carbon. But the way carbon is arranged differently under pressure turns coal into a diamond as opposed to just common coal. Okay, so same thing with information. So when we study these concepts, see if we can recognize the way the word is structured. Okay, and so with the goal in mind of creating a life of health and happiness, we expand our awareness about ourselves and about the natural laws and about other people. And instead of trying to solve all of life's problem, what we do is we go through life, we light up different candles within our house of holistic health. Okay. So we have been lighting up the first candle, or the candle of wisdom. And in lighting up the first candle of wisdom, we started by discussing the informational aspect of wisdom from a concept perspective. Okay. So when we define wisdom, wisdom is simply understood as a concept pointing to the state of inner awareness corresponding to 5 levels of wisdom. I think you wrote this down already in the past lectures. Okay, wisdom is just a concept. That concept points to an awareness. That awareness corresponds to different level of awareness, correspond to different levels of wisdom. And as you just mentioned, the state of awareness level 1 is a state of inner awareness such that things, events, phenomenon, people, circumstances are right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, should or should not. Okay. That is the definition of the inner awareness of level 1. So I just redraw the level 1. I just kind of write it down. Okay. With level 1, level 1. Okay. We have the awareness. Okay, we have the awareness that people, things, phenomenon, circumstances, events are right or wrong. Okay, they are good or bad, true or false. They are should or should not. Okay, and since I have level 1 awareness, I recognize this pen is now bad. Okay, this pen is going to go in my recycle bin. Okay, just stop there and let her know. Okay, with a level 1 awareness, we're able to essentially distinguish. Okay, very simple. We're able to distinguish between right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, should or should not. That is just level 1 awareness. Okay, we learn to distinguish between right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, should or should not very early in life. Okay, that helped us survive, avoid, bad things. However, going through life and having just simple awareness of right and wrong, good and bad, true or false, should or should not, does not always bring us the kind of life that we really want. Health, happiness, peace. What we need, in addition to level 1, is wisdom. So there's a difference between awareness and wisdom. With wisdom, it is the proactive choice, or the choosing. Okay, so we choose right over wrong. A person can be aware of right or wrong, but if that person chooses the wrong, then we can say that person has no wisdom. Right? We know good or bad, but if you choose the bad, then they're not very wise. Same thing. Okay, a person of level 1 wisdom is a person who proactively chooses the right, the good, the true. Okay, essentially, it is the choosing that makes a person of wisdom. It is a proactive choice. Okay. That's pretty much level 1. Okay. It is the choosing. With level 2, oops. Okay, let's go move on to level 1. There's a phrase that there's in the English language there's a phrase that says you can win an argument but still lose a friend. Right? You can win an argument, lose a friend. You can win a battle and lose a war. It takes a person of wisdom to be able to choose the right thing to do, so that at the end, what we really want is to rise above and stand above life's problem, not just to go about solving all the problems that we have in life. Okay. See if I can make this a little more easy to see. That is level 1, awareness and wisdom. Okay, a little bit more readable. Okay. To win an argument or lose a friend. That's a sort of saying that involves, level 1 awareness and wisdom. Okay. Next, let's go to the level 2. Okay, level 2, awareness and wisdom, still from the conceptual basis, from the information of wisdom. Okay, so let me just, do I have a picture of wisdom? If not, I'll just redraw it. What's this one? Yeah, I still have it. Okay. Wisdom. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so wisdom, okay. In informational aspect, it is 5 states of awareness. And with level 2, so let's redraw a picture of level 2 awareness. With level 2, okay. Similarly, level 2 awareness says that the root cause of life begins with me. Okay. Or with themselves. If you're talking about myself, then the root cause of life begin with me, or the root cause of life originate within me. Okay. And with level 2 awareness, we don't blame. Okay. Or you can say, root cause of life begin with me, but not my fault. We also are aware that the root cause of life originate from mental images. Okay. A person of level 2 awareness has the awareness that root cause of life begins with me, and I don't need to blame. And the root cause of life also begin from the mental images within me. Okay. A person of level 2 wisdom, however, okay, just because we know, okay, now we know that root cause of life begins with me. I don't need to blame myself. I know that it is from my mental images, but that doesn't do anything to help us, create the life that we really want. So when it comes to wisdom, okay, a person of level 2 wisdom will, once again, there's a proactively create positive images. And what do we say they are from? It is based on what we hear, what we see, what we say, and what we know. Okay. In other words, we monitor what we hear and see, and we change what we say and know. That is a process of proactive creation. Okay. Wisdom is proactively create positive images. Okay. A person of level 2 awareness recognize that, the seed of the mental images determines the external circumstances. And they realize that a person of wisdom recognize that to expect change in other people is the, let's see, level 2 awareness, level 2 wisdom. So proactively create positive images. And they what they understand is that change images is to change life. Okay. The definition is that a person of level 2 awareness is such that the root cause of life begins with the self from the seed of mental images of the person, okay, not from the object themselves, okay? Remember that interaction with the pen, okay? Mental images determine what this is, not what it does not. It is in here that decide what this is. A person of level 2 awareness does not expect changes from external circumstances, but is clearly aware of the need to change from within the inner being, okay? It is a person who has the inner conviction that to expect change in other people is the beginning of suffering. Okay, to expect change in other people is the beginning of suffering, whereas changing oneself is the beginning of happiness. Okay, that is a person of wisdom. To expect change in other people is the beginning of suffering. To begin to change oneself is the beginning of happiness. Okay. So okay, so that's level 1 and level 2. Pretty simple, right? Okay. So let's go over level 3 a little bit quickly. So I wrote down level 3 already, so I'm not going to rewrite it. So you can feel welcome to copy it. A person of level 3 awareness, okay, first of all, level 3 awareness is a state of inner awareness equivalent to the state of emptiness of the inner being. Okay, simply emptiness of being. Level 3 awareness is simply emptiness of being. So let's put that in the form of this outline here. So level 3 with awareness. Okay. It is a state of emptiness of being. Okay, the state of emptiness of being. So remember this. Okay. When we encounter any message from the outside world, well, first of all, our being as a human being, we have 3 different levels. We have the level of our true nature or true self. We have the level of our mind, and we have the level of our emotion. We use our mind to analyze and distinguish. We use our emotion to react. And we use our true self to simply receive things. So the question is, when we encounter a message, any message from the external world, what we see or what we hear, anything people say, any event, circumstances, or phenomenon, the question is, when we encounter any message, which part of our nature will encounter it first? Is it our true nature? The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, the will to know, or is it our human nature, the mind and emotion? Which of these 3 layers actually encounter a message first?
Emotions.
You think the emotion will encounter it first?
Actually,
Sometimes
no.
people say, yeah.
Yeah, it is emotions.
Okay. Well, some people will say it is the mind that will encounter it first. For example, if somebody were to call us stupid,
Yes, yes.
it depends on the person. Some person may immediately react. They get angry. So it is emotion. But some people, they might start to analyze. What are they saying? Do they really mean I'm stupid? Are they joking? Are they trying to insult me? But before you even feel it, do you have to not know what it is? Before we even feel angry, do we not have to know that it is the word stupid first? Right? So it is actually the mind that will encounter it before the emotion. We have to recognize it, analyze it, distinguish it that, oh, it is an insult. Then you feel good or bad. It happens so fast. But then again, even before the mind analyze it, it is an insult. Even before the mind recognize that it is an English word, then you have to hear it first or see it first. Right? We have to encounter it. We have to hear it and see it before the mind will recognize what it is. And then the mind being so quickly tied to the emotion will react. So using this map, we can come to realize that it is actually our true self. It is actually our inner being, our true nature, the nature that is hearing and seeing, that will always encounter any message first. But why is it that we never realize that? It's because we have been letting the mind and the emotion kind of running amok for so long. We've been looking outside of ourselves for the thing that really matter to us first.
So the middle one is the correct one?
It is always our true nature, the already always hearing,
Here
the
first.
already always seeing, that will encounter any message first. But the space between encountering it and then the mind jumped in and the emotion jumped in so quickly that we forget that we actually encounter it with our true nature, true self first. Right? But
I do remember that now.
yeah, but if we allow our hearing and our seeing, our true hearing and our true seeing to just hear and see, and you wait, then you will realize that, oh yes, I'm encountering a message. And then the longer we wait, the longer this space between the true seeing, true hearing, and before the mind jumps into distinguish, before the emotion react, then it is called the emptiness of being. And the longer we can stay in the emptiness of being, the longer we will get to the shore of serenity, inner peace. Right. We just forget that we actually always hear and see first. Yeah. And that is why in the Bible it is said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so now we know that, oh, we are already always hearing, and then we are already always seeing. So whenever we encounter any message, we just kind of focus on that. Notice that, okay, I'm hearing, I'm seeing, in that space of nothingness. Before the mind and it jumps in, when our inner being is empty, then the rest of our being is also empty.
So
It is,
if,
yeah.
if you hear and see, and you know you hear and see, but speaking comes later after you analyze.
We'll let's not deal with that for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It is possible to speak with no mind.
Yeah.
It is possible to know with no mind. There are certain things that we just know, and then a person who can speak from authenticity doesn't need to analyze and this is the way God speaks. Okay, but let's not get there for now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Frank,
Okay.
I'm going to be listening, but I'm going to be eating dinner. I got to turn my
Okay.
camera off, but
Okay.
I'll be watching you.
Okay. So basically, level 3 awareness is a state of emptiness of being. Okay. And we illustrated that level 3, awareness is a state of emptiness of being. Okay. That time delay is called the emptiness of being. Okay. Okay. Let me see. So a person who is of wisdom level 3, a person wisdom level 3 is a person who okay. Person with wisdom level 3 is a person who proactively know the hearing okay, know the hearing, know the seeing, know the speaking, and know the knowing. Sounds a little silly, okay, no? But okay, but it's designed to sound a little weird, because if you do this, you will sort of experience a Zen moment, which you realize the truth about ourselves. Okay, a person of level 3 wisdom is a person who simply proactively knows the hearing, knows the seeing, knows the speaking, and knows the knowing. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let me read the definition of a person of level 3 wisdom. Person of level 3 wisdom is a person who has a state of awareness such that people, things, event, circumstances, phenomenon have the essence of emptiness, or you can say they are essentially empty of meaning. Okay. So emptiness of being is a state of being. Okay. But a person of wisdom knows that all things are empty. It is a proactive knowing. Empty meaning empty of meaning, okay? And with that same token, knows that they are by nature no one. Okay? Know that all things are essentially empty, not emptying. Okay? All things are essentially empty of meaning, comma, therefore can be anything. Okay. They also know that they are by nature no one. Therefore can be anyone. Okay. Another way of saying that is all things are essentially empty and therefore has unlimited potential to become anything. All things are essentially empty and therefore has unlimited potential. We are no one and therefore can become anyone. If we are already someone, then we can not become anyone else. That is a person of level 3 wisdom. And we have that expanded awareness that all things are essentially empty and has unlimited potential. And at the same time, we recognize that we are by nature no one, and therefore we can become anyone. Okay. And with that, a person of level 3 wisdom essentially obeys a certain law. Law of cyclical rotation. Okay. Law of cyclical rotation. It has to do with rotating forward and returning back. It has to do with moving and staying. Going and coming. Okay? It has to do with knowing when to attach and when to let go. Okay? And we're talking about attachment to identity. By nature, all things are constantly moving. Do you notice that? There is a cyclical rotation to everything. Days turns into night, night turns back into day. The month change, the seasons change. All things change, but they have a way of moving and coming back. Everything goes in a circle. And that circular motion is not fixed. It has a directional to it. It circulates and then it goes up, or it circulates and then it goes down. And depending on how you approach it, our lives can get better or our life can get worse. Attachment to identity is trying to go against this law of rotation, cyclical rotation. Take, for example, a woman has an identity of a beautiful single woman. She rotates forward and takes on the identity of a married woman. She's now a wife. That is a new identity because she rotates forward. And then at some point, she has children. And so she rotates forward and takes on the identity of a mother. But if a married wife who takes on the new identity of a mother doesn't go back to being a married wife, she focuses all her attention on taking care of her children, what do you think is going to happen to the husband? Many women, when they take on the new identity of a mother, fails to go back to being a wife. And so essentially, the husband is now wifeless. He has a mother of his children, but he doesn't have any wife anymore. But a woman who is wise, a person of level 3 wisdom, realize that I am no one, and therefore I can be anyone. So she can rotate forward and take on the identity of a mother when appropriate. And when the children goes to school, she can return back and become a loving wife. She can make her husband happy, and she can make her children happy. A boss who doesn't understand the law of cyclical rotation will take on the role of a boss, right? He can give order to employee. But if the boss goes home and doesn't return back to an identity of a family man, for example, then he will continue to order his wife and his children around, and therefore violating the law of rotation, law of cyclical rotation. And when a boss fails to do that, he encounter difficulty. He encounter stresses. That's like paddling against the current. Okay, we want life to get along without pain and suffering. All we got to do is identify what universal principles and natural law is in existence. We just kind of align ourselves with that, go with the flow, and we're going to experience life pretty easy. So a person of wisdom is a person of knowing when to attach onto something and when to let go. A person can have desire. Let's say we have a desire for a new job, a new house, a new job. We can initiate a desire and work toward it. But while we are working toward it, we have many other desire, many other identity. If we don't let go of that desire and we constantly striving towards something that we have not yet achieved yet, we can experience the tension. I'm not there yet. I gotta work that constantly all day long. We're gonna experience stress. But a person of wisdom knows that, okay, I initiate my desire for a new house. I'm gonna work toward that. But when it's time to come home, I can be a family man, I can be a husband, I can be a father. Then we can temporarily set down, we temporarily let go of that desire, and then we can enjoy life where we are. And then when it comes time to go to work again, we go to work again to reinitiate that desire. A person who constantly say that I am no one don't do anything. They have no desire. They create no value. And so their life essentially doesn't really get better. But a person who always initiate desire, always striving for something and never stop to smell the rose, then that person is going to experience a lot of stress as well. As we see that in society, we see people who is always on the fast lane, always striving, and they will have to pay the price, usually with their health or even with their finance and their relationship, because they fail to go back. They fail to stay. They fail to return. They're always moving forward, always rotating forward, always going and never coming. Whereas a person who never go anywhere, never have any desire, never have any aspiration, they don't create any value, their life just doesn't change. So a person of wisdom is a person who knows when to initiate desire and when to let go and just enjoy being. Okay? Yeah. So another definition of a person of level 3 wisdom is a person who always feel that people, things, event, circumstances, phenomenon are by nature have no problem. Okay? A person of level 3 wisdom is a person who always feel that people, things, events, circumstances, phenomenon are by nature have no problem. Okay, if we encounter somebody who's really resentful and blaming, no problem. We understand that that person simply has not had a fullness of awareness and perception about honoring gratitude. A person of level 3 wisdom, when encountering somebody who is really angry, well, that person doesn't have a problem. They simply need a lesson in magnanimity. A person of level 3 wisdom, when encountering somebody who is physically ill, that person doesn't have a problem either. They just have not had a fullness of awareness and perception in terms of health. They don't know what a picture of health look like. They don't understand. They have not been told the World Health Organization's definition of health, but they don't have a problem. A person of level 3 wisdom, when struggling financially, realizes that there is no financial problem. There's no financial problem. They simply need to learn the awareness and conception about health, holistic health. They need to learn about merits and blessing, creating value, the engine of value creation. In other words, when we see somebody having problem, that is no problem either. We just need to cultivate level 3 awareness and wisdom. Okay, because when you see a person having problem, then we're already guess what, distinguishing, we're already analyzing. That is part of the mind. Hello, Mr. Jung, thank you for joining us. Okay. Yeah, so when we see people having problem, we are not on level 3 wisdom, we are on another level. Okay, it is the mind and the emotion that is in control. The person of level 3 awareness and wisdom, continue, is a person who always live with the present reality, the here and now. Okay, the person of level 3 of wisdom is a person who always live in the here and now, who always live with the truth within themselves. Okay, the truth within themselves is, what is the truth within ourselves? What is the truth within us? Rana Jiwa. What is the truth within us?
What we hear and what we see, what we know
Okay.
and what we speak.
Okay. It is not the what. It is not what we hear, what we see. That takes the mind, that takes a mental image, that takes the human mind that distinguish the what. It is simply the already always hearing, the already always seeing, and the already always speaking, and the already always knowing. It is an awareness, it is a realization, it is a proactive knowing. Okay. When it comes to present reality here and now, do we notice that are we living in the present? Have we always lived in the present? That's something that we can discuss. Do we live in the present? Or do we always imagine the past? Right? We always imagine things that happen. Or we think about the future. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen to us? It is our mind that is constantly thinking and imagining things. And so we are never fully in the present. But a person of level 3 wisdom is a person who always live in the here and now. Okay? When we think about the past and the future, usually they are associated with some positive and negative charges. Right? The past is better than the present. The past is worse than the present. There's always some judgment involved. Same thing with the future. The future could be something we're hoping, we're striving for, so that's positive. That is better than now. Or we have a bleak future, or we worry about the future, we have fear, that's negative. Negative and positive, those are products of the human mind. It is part of the human nature. It is not part of our true nature. It is not part of level 3 wisdom and awareness. Okay. All right. Right. And finally, the person of level 3 wisdom is a person who can answer 3 important questions of life. Okay, 3 important questions of life. Who is the most important person of my life? When is the most important time of my life? And number 3, what is the most important thing to do with my life? And the answer to that question is, who is the most important person of my life? It is the person in front of me, in the present, in front of me. That is why your present is my present. Her presence is my present. Okay, just by being here, it is a gift for me already. You don't have to do anything. Just your presence is my present. When is the most important time of my life? It is the now. It is always the now. It is never the past or the future. In fact, there is no past. There is no future. The past is nothing more than a memory trace that we see or hear in our mind. That is product of the mind, the human nature, okay, the judgment part. and the analytical part, the past is nothing more than a memory trace of something that we associated with having already existed. But when we're thinking about the past, we are doing it now. We're actually doing it now. When we can't think about the past in the past, we are thinking in the present. So you just realize the present. When we think about the future, we're not in the future. We are just projecting. It is a mental movie of something that we expect or think that may happen. We simply associate it with something that had yet to be happened. But guess what? We are having that mental movie right now. So essentially, a person of level 3 wisdom understand that, oh, I'm actually doing all of that right now. That is part of the knowing that you're knowing, or knowing that you're speaking. So when is the most important time? It is always the now. And what is the most important thing to do? Instead of letting our mind think about the past and the future, instead of letting our mind think about and worrying about all kinds of things that are out there, the most important thing to do is always to care for the person in front of you right now. The most important thing to do is always to care about the person that is present with us right now. Okay? The person of level 3 wisdom is a person who always know they are hearing, always know they are seeing, always know they are speaking, and always know that they are knowing. It is a person who can maintain the state of serenity in mind, in emotion, and in spirit. A person of level 3 wisdom is a person who can maintain the state of serenity in mind, in emotion, and in spirit. Okay? When your mind is full, just practice emptiness. When the mind is full, just practice emptiness. Okay. So let me withdraw wisdom. Okay. Using a triangle of reality. There's an information aspect. There's a material aspect. And there's an energy aspect. So we went through, there are 5 levels. We only went through 1, 2, 3. Okay. I may share level 4 and 5 today if we get to it. 5 levels of inner awareness. Okay. So we have level 1, level 2, level 3. And then the sages have taught us that each of those levels will give rise to a certain energy aspect, right? So there is the energy of serenity, magnanimity, and an energy called honoring gratitude. Okay. Each of the levels of wisdom, level 1, level 2, level 3, correspond to each of these energy. Okay, we call them the energy of wisdom. When you have the information, it will give rise to the energy. The energy will manifest in a material, physical way. So, based on what you know, which level of wisdom correspond to which of these energy? Okay, yeah. Based on what you know, which levels of wisdom correspond to which levels of energy? Serenity, magnanimity, and honor and gratitude.
Level 3.
Level 3 is which energy?
Serenity.
Okay, and magnanimity, which level is that? Which
Magna.
level of wisdom correspond to magnanimity?
Level 2. No,
Mhm.
level 1.
It's actually level 2. Okay.
It is level 2.
Okay. And that leaves level 1 corresponding to the energy of honoring gratitude.
Honor and gratitude. Okay.
Okay. We went through, level 3 wisdom just now. So one of the lines said that the person of level 3 wisdom is a person who can maintain the state of serenity in mind, emotion, and spirit. With level 2 magnanimity is an energy that corresponds to level 2 wisdom and awareness. Why? Because root cause of life begins with me, and therefore I don't need to blame people. I can afford to be magnanimous with them. No matter what they do, I do not feel any offenses, and so I can afford to be magnanimous with people. Therefore, level 2 awareness and wisdom correspond to magnanimity, a state of generosity and tolerance.
I had to think what magnanimity meant again.
Yeah, we'll get to that, and we'll get to that. I think maybe next week.
Yeah.
We'll definitely need to review that. It's a big word. Okay, and level 1 correspond to honoring gratitude, because when we encounter level 1 wisdom and gratitude, level 1 wisdom and awareness has to do with knowing good, bad, true, false, right? When we encountering a circumstance that is, let's say, undesirable, we know that is good or bad, right? Undesirable versus desirable. That is level 1 awareness and wisdom. In order to protect ourselves, instead of allowing the negativity to take hold of us, we simply initiate the energy of honoring gratitude. We are grateful for the lesson that the undesirable circumstances has brought to us. Because if we don't, then we go negative. If an undesired circumstances come to us and we don't initiate the positive, we don't look for the positivity, then we're going to get angry, we're going to start to blame, we're going to get resentful, then we go negative. If we allow our inner state to go negative, then we can't say that we have wisdom. And applying the law of cause and effect, if your inner state is negative, if the inner seed is negative, then that negative seed is going to bear negative fruit. We are going to encounter more negativity. So in order to protect ourselves, we use level 1 wisdom. We pick the good in the bad, and the good is the lesson. We don't be grateful for the difficulties or the challenges or the pain and the suffering. No, we look for the lesson and be grateful for the lesson. It takes wisdom to recognize the lesson from the crisis and the challenge, and we are grateful for it. Okay, that's level 1. Okay, now let's talk about level 3 since we are on level 3 awareness and wisdom. So let's talk about the energy of wisdom level 3, which is serenity. Okay, let's see. So the following is the reason I chose the word serenity is because of a very nice prayer by that has been attributed to Mother Teresa. Okay, Mother Teresa, I may have shared with you before, is the only human being who was considered a saint before she died. Okay, very loving person, very kind person, made a lot of difference, helped a lot of people. And there's a prayer that maybe she made it up or other people, but they attribute it to her. And the prayer is called a serenity prayer, and it says this: please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change that which I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change that which I can, which is myself. That's harder to change than trying to change other people, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay. Okay. And serenity, like wisdom, is also a non-material concept. But we already have the tool. Okay, we have the tool to turn non-material things into material things using the triangle of reality. From non-material thing, we go into the information aspect. Okay, we build it, and then that gives rise to the energy aspect, and then that will give rise to the material and physical aspect of any concept. So let's start with serenity. Serenity. It too has a informational. I'm just gonna shorten it info. Okay, there's material, and then there's the energy aspect. Okay, so here is the source concept of serenity. Let's say I'll write it with you. Okay, I'll write it with you. Serenity. Okay, from an info. Is a state of awareness okay is a state of awareness, let's say inner awareness, state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within. Okay, we already know what that is. The truth within. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. It's a state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within ourselves. We can say within ourselves. Okay. Originate. This is repeating from hearing, seeing, speaking, knowing that is not entangled by the mind and the emotion of our human nature. Okay, serenity is a state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within ourselves, originates from hearing, seeing, speaking, knowing, that is not entangled by the mind and emotion of our human nature. Okay, so the information of serenity over here is the okay. Let's say will to hear, see, speak, and know. Okay, from the informational aspect. Okay, so serenity is a state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within ourselves, originates from the hearing, seeing, speaking, knowing, that is not entangled by the mind and the emotion of our human nature. So as a review, when we receive a message with the true hearing and seeing, and not entangled by the analytical mind or the reacting emotion, then we initiate which state of being? When we are not entangled by the mind and the emotion, then we initiate which state of being?
Emptiness.
State of emptiness, correct. The state of emptiness of being. And by the law of cause and effect, when we can initiate that state of emptiness of being, then we can achieve the manifestation of serenity and joy from inner peace. Okay, when there is that emptiness of being, then we can manifest serenity, joy, and peace. Because when we receive a message with emptiness of being, the message is not charged by positive or negativity. Okay, it is not employing the mind and the emotion. And therefore, we achieve a state of very high balance being across our entire nature, across our entire being. Okay, because when the inner state is balanced, it will also cause our mind and our emotion to be balanced as well. Okay, our human nature as well as our true nature is in tune. So, for example, if I ask you, what is this? So, Ron, what is this?
Pen. Felt pen.
Huh?
A marker.
A marker or a pen. Well, if you just said that, then what part of the mind has just taken control?
Knowing, because I know what.
The
That's what I was
part, which part of our being is it our true nature, or is it our human nature, the mind or the emotion that just identify this as a pen?
That's our human nature.
That is our human nature. It is our mind that has just identified this as a pen. And then next, you might start to notice, okay, this pen has a certain color. It's a black and green pen. And then pretty soon, you're going to feel, oh, I like pen, I like green, or I don't like green, right? And then the emotion jumps in. But if the emotion and the mind jumps in, then at that moment, you're already entangled by the mind and the emotion. Okay, so with this definition, serenity is a state of inner awareness that originates from the true hearing, the true seeing, that is not entangled by the mind and the emotion. So let's try again. Ron, what's this?
Pink marker.
If you said the pink marker, then what part of your being did you just employ to tell me the pink marker?
I went to emotion.
Yeah. And by that definition, you're already entangled. And because you are already entangled by the emotion and the mind, pretty soon you're going to like or dislike it. Okay, you might, would you like pink? Or do you dislike pink? So that's just a tiny little, pen that we may not, the energy that we charge, this pen may not be very, very strong. So we may not feel much thing. But if I were to give you an image, or if I say something, if I, insult you with a negative word, really strongly negative word that will maybe, touch a button, and a strong emotion may come in. But if you are to experience true serenity, then when I ask you what this is, you say you won't even say anything. Because to say that it is a pen, or even you say this is nothing, this is pen, this is nothing, this is a pen, this is nothing, that's already the mind working. And the mind has a way of leading us to the emotion. True emptiness is you just know that you see it. You just know that you hear it, and that's it. Okay, so the definition from an informational perspective is that serenity is a state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within ourselves, from the hearing, seeing, speaking, knowing that is not entangled by the mind and the emotion of our human nature. Okay. And because what do I have that picture?
Once I label it, then it's directly.
Hmm?
Once I label that item, it
Yeah,
directly.
you lost it. Once you label it, as soon as you label it, you lost it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's use another this one. This one will hang on. Let's use the other more. Okay, let's use this one. Okay, that's the same picture. This is human construct. Okay. In here, in our true self, our true nature, they already always will to hear, to see, very balanced, no energy charge, high energy. As we go farther and farther away from the truth within, we take on more and more energy charge. And because by the time that we get to the emotion, we start to feel it. And because even though the first reception, the first part that receives the message is the true self. But by the time it gets to the emotion, it is the last thing that we experience. Okay, the emotion is the last thing that we experience. And it happens to be, if it happens to be, let's say, a positive emotion, because it is the last thing that we experience it, and it's a positive one, we're going to want to go back to that same emotion.
So once you label it, you have a desire.
Right. We may have a desire to experience again. But here's the thing, okay? It begins in here and it spreads out. And by the time it gets to our emotion and we feel it, something, let's say we feel certain pleasure. And because it is the last thing that we experience, emotion, we want to go back to it we mistakenly look for the emotion again in order to feel it. We mistakenly look for the stuff that is outside of our true self. Okay, when we look for our emotion to repeat the same experience, we essentially look outside of our true self. But emotions are 84,000 bubbles of illusion. If we're lucky, we may experience it for a short while, but it'll disappear again. And so we find ourselves looking for the same feeling because it's the last thing that we remember. It is the closest to our present experience because it's the last thing that we remember. And so we find ourselves always chasing emotion. We're always chasing things that are outside of us, and they will disappear like illusion. And when they disappear, we feel suffer. But if we, with wisdom, and we recognize that, oh, the truth begins first, not the emotion. And we go back to the truth, we go back to the state of serenity. We go back to realizing that, oh, it originates from the true hearing and seeing and speaking that is not entangled by the emotion and the mind. And the truth is something that does not change over space and time. It is always there. And because it is always there, we can always count on it to take refuge in it. But if we take refuge in something that is illusory, something that just pops up and down like an emotion, then we're going to be chasing that illusion, that emotion forever and forever, unless we realize that, oh, the truth is something that never changes. It is, in fact, the first thing that will encounter a message. Because that's what it means, okay? From informationalization, informationalization of a non-material concept of serenity. Okay. Okay. So yeah, when okay, so once again, you know, when as hang on. Right. Okay. So it begins in the true seeing with very high energy. If we allow it to spread to the mind and we allow it to spread to the emotion that is already taken lower and lower energy. And if we focus on the lower energy part, then our life is not going to get better. Okay, we just focus on lower part of the energy. So that is why you will go through life and all day long, you know, our life doesn't get better. Okay. All right. The beauty of recognizing the truth within is that at any moment when we encounter and we receive a message with the true hearing and true seeing, we already initiated that emptiness of being. And we already have serenity. Serenity is not something that we can chase. We need to go and find. People say, I want to find peace. Ooh, they may go on vacation to find peace, but that thing is not peace. It is just a feeling, an emotional feeling. And so the beauty of this philosophy is that once you realize that serenity is always there, we always have it, and we never have to go anywhere else to find it. It is always there within us. You can always take refuge in the truth within and experience serenity. Okay? If we go outside and we're trying to satisfy our ego mind, or we're trying to satisfy our feeling emotion. Okay? So in a 24-hour period, if we constantly let our mind and our emotion take control, then how many moments can we truly experience peace? Right? All through our day, every time we encounter something, we judge it, we think about it, we feel it. How many times do we actually let our true self control our life and experience inner peace? And this is why people don't experience peace. And if they don't experience peace, if their mind and their emotion is in control, then guess what? Their body is going to take a toll too. Okay. So can we choose to stop the feeling and the thinking? Okay. A young man in love with a girl, and he confesses his love to a girl. He said, I can't help how I feel about you. I can't stop thinking about you. We hear that in all the romance movie, right? If a guy comes up and tell you, or a woman comes up and tell you, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't help out how I feel about you. I want to be with you. The question is, do you think the girl should marry him? If somebody tells you, I can't stop thinking about you, the mind, I can't help how I feel about you, the emotion. Should you commit to spending your rest of your life with that person?
He hasn't expressed her feelings.
Well, it's not about her feeling, it's about the person
Yeah.
saying that he cannot control his emotion and he cannot control his mind. And the emotions are illusion, and the mind is, if he cannot control his emotion and his mind, it may be positive now, but what happened when the feelings and the mind is negative? Is he going to be in control then? So when a person, being euphoric, being in love, and they tell you, I can't help thinking about you. I can't stop feeling my love for you. Ooh, gotta be careful. Feels good now, but later when those mind and the emotion goes negative and they cannot be in control of the positive, how are you going to guarantee that they will be in control of the negative? Right? And imagine we are in a car or a boat and we are not in control of the car or a boat. And by the law, by the principle of light, if we are not in control, then somebody else is in control. Right? If we find ourselves in a boat and it's just going wherever, like this young man said, I can't help how I feel about you. I can't stop thinking about you. This boat is taking him somewhere. It may be at this point may be in a desirable direction, but who knows? If you're not in control, that boat could change course. Do you really want to stay on the boat? If you're not in control, maybe it's time to get off the boat and hop onto our little raft. Our raft of hearing and seeing. Just hop into our raft of hearing and seeing and allow that raft to float to the shore of serenity. Right? Yeah, if we are not in control of our mind and our emotion, then something else must be in control of our mind or emotion. But that's kind of a scary thought. Right? There's a saying, it is not that no, never mind. Okay. Well, yeah, we have a raft, so let's just jump on the raft, right? And the thing is, at first, when we first jump on a raft, we simply notice that we are thinking about something. We're hearing something. Now, when we first practice, when somebody saying something, call me stupid, something, okay, I just noted, okay, I noticed that I'm hearing the word stupid. That's still the mind working. It is the analytical. And then I may have a feeling about it. But if we practice, just start paying attention to it. Even if the mind is in control, we just kind of, the moment we realize it, we just don't give it any more energy. Okay, don't allow it to go out of control. We just notice, and after a while, we will start to notice that we are simply hearing and seeing.
It's just a word.
It's just a word. And we may start notice that, okay, I am hearing, I am seeing, but I am, or we are, it's still identity, it is still part of the mind. But that's okay. It is better than I am seeing something. First is I'm seeing a negative word. Then with practice, I'm simply seeing a word. And then with a little more practice, I am simply hearing. And then after a while, keep practicing. It is no longer I am hearing, it's simply hearing and seeing. And then after a while, nothing. Those of us who are fortunate enough, if we have enough blessing and merits, we will experience the state of emptiness of being, and we will experience serenity by nature. But that's rare. That require wisdom. That require merit and blessing. We need the energy of good fortune, and the way to do that is to help other people. But before we, before we have achieved that natural state, then we can practice by just kind of noticing. And after a while, that mind and the emotion, it will kind of slow down. Okay. So the beauty is that at the reception of any message, it is actually a wonderful opportunity to practice emptiness at any message. If we got nothing better to do, just, practice empty. Just kind of pay attention to what we're saying, and don't charge it. Don't give it any energy. Don't analyze it. Don't judge it. Okay. The benefit of serenity is clarity of mind and emotion. Because when this is dominating, the inner being, the true self is dominating, when we are high energy, we are highly balanced, then we experience a state of clarity as well. In addition to peace, we experience clarity of our mind and emotion, which leads to soundness of judgment. Okay, and better decision. The opposite will be a person making a decision based on strong emotion, right? Person get angry, they'll do something usually bad. Person is very euphoric, feeling love, they're usually doing something that will have consequences they'll regret later. Serenity has the benefit of soundness of judgment, clarity of decision. Okay. And once we achieve a state of emptiness and we experience serenity, we can rotate back to level 1 and level 2. We can be magnanimous with people, or we can honor and be grateful for the lessons in life. Right? Level 3 wisdom, that's the beauty of having a high level wisdom, is you can rotate back down as needed. You don't stay there all the time because you will get complacent over time. We don't create any value for other people. Okay, so ultimately, being proactive and taking responsibility for our inner being is equivalent to having mastery over our own self. Mastery of our emotion, our mind, mastery over our own spirit. And once again, applying the principle of light, if we are the master of our house, then we are the owner. But if we are not the master, then something else is the master. If we don't master our mind and our emotion by way of emptiness and inner peace, then something else, you wonder what that is the master. And what happened when we're not home and something else occupy our house? Okay. And when we master our inner being by the law of causality, then we are essentially take mastery over our own life, our health life, our relationship, our financial life. To be master, to take ownership, is to be proactive and to take full responsibility of our inner being, which will result in our health, our finances, and our relationship. Okay, our circumstances, external circumstances. So here's the thing. How many choices do we need to make with respect to our inner being? All right. How many choices? When we talk about, remember, root cause of life, level 2, we talk about our outcome in life is a result of choices. And life seems to have so many choices. We have to make all kinds of decisions and choices all the time, and it can get a little overwhelming at times. But with this perspective, we can actually simplify that. When it comes to our true self, we receive any message, there is really only one choice to receive. Already, we simplify a lot of that. Okay? There's only one choice. If we recognize the truth within us, if we recognize our true self, then we only need to welcomely receive whatever message that comes in. We just welcomely receive it. That's just one choice. Once we have that choice already, we can choose to extend however long we want to stay in that serenity, or if we initiate our mind and emotion to take over. Okay, a person of wisdom is a person who is able to rotate among the three energy, the three level. First choice is simple, just be at peace with everything that comes in. Very simple. Next choice is you start to let the mind analyze and distinguish. And the simplest way to make a choice is to go positive, right? Choose to be magnanimous with people, choose to be grateful for any event and circumstances. The beauty of recognizing the truth within us is that now that we are aware of our true self, we notice that there is always already receiving first. We only miss it when we are not fully conscious, okay? And we let the mind and emotion get in the way too soon. So we just go back to that true hearing, true seeing, okay? We get back to balance. So step by step, we can simplify the choices. First, get empty. Then from the balance of serenity, we can move to the human nature part of ourselves. And the choice will tend to be more positively oriented when we are from a balanced position. Because we have wisdom, we can go positive. If we go negative, then we are not wise, right? Okay, from a stance of positive, from a stance of balance, the only choice left is to go positive. So whether we use our mind to analyze, or if we use our emotion to react, it is always going to be a positive from a wisdom perspective. And here's the thing, when undesirable circumstances happen, when we encounter something that we consider undesirable, guess what? At that moment, we have already lost sight of level 3 and serenity, because undesirable is, guess what? Is what? The mind judging something as undesirable. See, when the moment where we encounter something that we consider undesirable, pain, suffering, whatever, that, oops, too bad, I've just missed level 3. That's okay. We have the breath.
So if you monitor what you hear and see, you won't need to speak or say anything.
Yeah.
Emptiness there.
Yeah, we can always go back to the breath. Okay, hop on the breath and just wait for the negative energy to die out, the emotion, all the things will dissipate. And then when we achieve that state of emptiness, when we experience serenity, then we can rotate to the necessary level where we can pick and choose how to respond. Okay. Okay. Yeah, basically the moment where we focus on the true hearing and true seeing, at that moment, our mind actually stops. We're not actually thinking. We're just focusing on the hearing and the seeing until our mind stops. And in that space, we feel inner peace. But if we're already entangled by the mind and emotion, we can proactively go back to borrowing that wrath of hearing and seeing. And that is wisdom. Now, yeah, so that was the informationalization of serenity. Okay, that was the informationalization of serenity. We talk about serenity from a conceptual perspective. Okay, let's move on to the energy or the energization of serenity. Once again, serenity is a non-material concept, and to materialize it, we go through the process of informationalizing it, and then we go through the process of energization of it. Okay, so let me write down the energy aspect of serenity. Okay, from an energy is a state of inner awareness such that the human nature of desire and imagination regarding resources, appearances, or I'm going to say or appearances or identity or consumption or rest are stopped, dropped, cease, stop. I'm going to put the word are drop, are release, and are seize and release. Okay. Okay. So from an energy aspect, serenity is a state of inner awareness such that the human nature of desire and imagination regarding resources or appearances or identity or consumption or rest are stopped, are dropped, are seized, and are released. Okay. Basically, it is a state of inner awareness when desire and imagination are no longer. Hello, Coco. Thank you for joining us again. Okay, that is an energization of serenity. Serenity is a state of inner awareness such that the human nature of desire and imagination regarding resources or appearances or identity or consumption or rest are stopped, are dropped, are seized, and are released. Basically, imagination and desire are gone. Okay. The since we're okay, that's the verbiage. So with the verbiage for the energy, basically it is stopped, dropped, seized, released. Okay, let go of imagination, let go of desire, and we will experience serenity from an energy aspect. And if you can see, if you notice, when we initiate the true hearing, true seeing, true speaking, true knowing, then we are not focusing on desire and imagination. And therefore, desire and imagination stop, drop, cease, or release. It is a one-word meditation. Just pick any of those words. Okay. Okay, let's from a material, let's write the material aspect of serenity. Material or materialization of serenity is a state of inner awareness of knowing the hearing, knowing the seeing, knowing the speaking, knowing the knowing. Okay. Okay, the materialization of serenity is a state of inner awareness of knowing the hearing, knowing the seeing, knowing the speaking, and knowing the knowing. And so write out here, whereas in the informational information of serenity, it is simply the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, the will to know. That's just a concept. Okay. But once we focus on the concept, our desire and imagination stop, drop, cease, or release. And with that, the materialization, the physical manifestation of serenity itself is the act of knowing. Okay, so it is knowing the Okay, so let me repeat the entire source concept of serenity. Okay, both from the, I'm going to read it from the information, then the energy and the material, and you kind of get it. Serenity is a state of inner awareness that originates from the truth within ourselves. Originate from hearing, seeing, speaking, knowing that is not entangled by the mind and emotion of our human nature. That is the information. From an energy aspect, serenity is a state of inner awareness such that the human nature of desire and imagination regarding resources or appearances or identity or consumption or rest are stopped, are dropped, are ceased, and are released. And serenity is a state of inner awareness of knowing the hearing, knowing the seeing, knowing the speaking, knowing the knowing. Okay, it's a lot of wordy stuff, okay, but it's meant to cause a certain paradigm shift about serenity. And when we have the information and the energy and the materialization of serenity, what that gives rise to, a state of feeling, of serenity, of inner peace. Okay, and that state of feeling is attitude. And thus, from awareness and wisdom level 3, what we create is the energy and the attitude of serenity. Right? From the awareness and wisdom of level 3, what we create is the attitude of serenity. Okay, it is a state of feeling and emotion. So when it comes to attitude of serenity, here's a definition. A person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom the complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy. Okay, The attitude of serenity. A person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom the complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy. A person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom the complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy. In other words, if you have stuff or if you don't have stuff, you still experience joy. That is a person of serenity. Okay, that's one definition. Okay, of the attitude of serenity. And you can already sense an emotional energy from that definition. Okay, a person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom the complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire in imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy. So let's talk about joy. Okay. Joy. Now, so when it comes to joy, let me ask you, what gives you joy? What are some things that give us joy?
Our children,
Your
family,
children give you joy. Good. Does owning a new car give you joy?
temporarily,
Yeah, temporarily. Yeah. How about a new house? How long does that joy last?
as long as I'm living there, I would imagine.
Okay, that's
A
good.
roof over my head, yeah.
Okay, yeah. When it comes to joy, there seem to be two sources of joy. Okay. There's a stuff that let's see. There's a stuff that satisfy desire and imagination, right? There's a stuff that satisfies our desire and imagination. We simply call that pleasure. Right? We find pleasure in our children. We find pleasure in our spouse. We find pleasure in our car, our house, our job. But because it is, if we find joy that are derived from those pleasure, and those pleasure are basically defined as the things that satisfy our desire and imagination, then guess what? When our children are not there, we no longer experience pleasure. We no longer experience joy. When a house burned down, we don't experience pleasure and we don't experience joy. Not only we don't experience, we experience the opposite, right? Pleasure can quickly turn into pain and suffering. Loss of something that satisfy our desire and imagination will quickly turn into pain and suffering. The more we invest in the kind of joy that they derive from pleasure, which is satisfying desire and imagination, the more we are going to experience its negative pain and suffering when those pleasures are not being met. because it lies within, because the desire in imagination lies within the human nature, and it is wrapped up in a positive and negative electromagnetic polarity. We have pleasure, we have pain. We have joy derived from pleasure, and we have suffering. But fortunately, there is another source of joy. Okay, there is another source of joy that is derived from serenity. Okay, because that definition, a person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom the complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determinant factor of joy. Whether we have our children or we don't have our children, whether we have our health or we don't have our health, whether we have our house or it burned down, it is no longer a determining factor of our joy if our joy is derived from emptiness and serenity. Here's the thing. If for a person who is already complete with the material things, okay, with a person who is complete in possession of the material thing that satisfy desire and imagination. If we have our children, we have a house, if we have a quality of life and standard of living, we have all of that, then we experience pleasure, that is joy. That's great. But at the same time, if a person who derives serenity, which is inner peace, purely from emptiness, no desire, no imagination whatsoever, they're always in this state of serenity that they have no house, they're still serene. They have no children, they're still serene. They have no spouse, they're still serene. They have no job, they're still serene. That's good, but they also create no value. They have no quality of life. They have no aspiration. They don't contribute anything to anybody. And so the two extreme, whether pleasure derived from possessing things that you desire can quickly turn to pain and suffering, or its extreme opposite, which is serenity from doing nothing and creating no value. Here, now that we have a new awareness of joy having two possible sources, why not derive from both of them? Why not initiate level 3 wisdom and rotate among the moving forward and standing still when needed, going and coming? When we don't have what we want, initiate the serenity that derives from not having what we want, emptiness. When we have what we want, why not derive the joy from having what we want? When we are working to strive forward some goal and we're not there yet, derive from serenity and smell the flower along the road, knowing that, okay, there's always a flower along the road and I haven't got to where I want yet, and I can still continue to work toward it while enjoying just being in the here and now. And when we do reach to that part where we want, then we can derive pleasure and joy from having completeness of what we desire and imagine. So having joy being derived from two possible sources can be kind of cool. We are no longer dependent on pain and suffering, nor do we end up being, how do you say, complacent and creating no value. In fact, if we just sit in the serenity without creating any value, then we don't turn that engine of value creation, right? We don't turn that engine of merit and blessing. We don't create value of people. Our life will not get better. And we will never go up nor go down. We're just kind of stuck. Okay, we're just kind of stuck in the middle. The thing with desire and imagination is that once we achieve or possess that which we desire and imagine, even if we achieve it, our desire tend to expand. Right? Our desire tend to expand, and so we're going to have to continue to pursue it, pursue the new expanded desire in order to feel the same level of pleasure. So it is wise to know when to move forward, to expand your pleasure, to expand your desire and imagination, and when to close it and just be at peace. Rotate among serenity and pleasure in order to derive joy. Okay? And if we can do this, if we can derive joy from both pleasure, which is satisfying our desire and imagination, as well as from serenity, then what we get is a wonderful benefit, the wonderful, wonderful benefit called self-happiness. Okay, or happiness with self, or happiness by the self. Happily single for those who are seeking to be married. So with joy coming both from completely possessing or not complete possessing what we desire in imagination, there comes a wonderful concept called self-happiness. Okay, self-happiness. There's a story of an author and a writer and a lecturer of happiness. Okay, so this is an author who is very famous for teaching people about happiness. He writes books. And so one day during a book signing event, a lot of people come to buy his book, get his autograph. And while he's busy signing his book on happiness, a bunch of news reporters identified his wife, and they started to interview the wife. So they asked the wife of this author, and they say that they asked, so does your husband bring you happiness? And the wife say, no, he does not bring me happiness. The reporter got really excited. They think, oh, this is a scandal. We can write a great story about the author of happiness who cannot bring his wife happiness. And so they asked her, okay, why does your husband not bring you happiness? Some of the reporters themselves have read the book, some of them have attended his seminar, and they have experienced, happiness coming from the kind of teaching that he offered. And the wife simply said, no, my husband did not give me happiness. I was already happy. Meeting him simply made me happier. I was already self-happy. Having married to him only made me happier. You see, with energy serenity is an energy of wisdom, and serenity is also the energy of happiness. Some people think that they will bring happiness to their spouse, or some people will think that getting married, they will be happy thanks to their spouse, but that is a delusion. You cannot be happy by expecting other people to make you happy. You cannot bring happiness to other people. Why? Because imagine if you have a cup. If your cup is not full and you're expecting other people to fill your cup, what happens is that a person who is not happy is like a cup that has a hole in it. When you are not full yourself and you expect other people to fill you, then that cup is just going to drain. You're going to drain your own happiness. You're going to drain the other partner's energy and happiness. And after a while, the marriage won't last. Any relation will not last if the person who is not already happy. If the cup has this leakage in it. But if a person has a cup that is already full, imagine overflowing with happiness, which is my personal case. When you are overflowing with help, with love and happiness, you seek another person, another vessel in order to pour that happiness into. And then that becomes a mutually growing, mutually beneficial relationship. But if your cup is partially empty and you have a leakage in it, and you meet another person, no matter how much love they have, they're going to pour into your cup, but your cup's going to leak out until you would never, ever be happy. You suck the energy from another person and cause them to go negative eventually. Worse is when two people are empty coming together. At first, they'll pour the cup into each other, but they're still partially empty, especially if they're if their own got their own leakage, and then after a while, very short while, the relationship is not going to work because they're both empty. At first, they may feel like, oh, okay, the other person poured into me, I feel full, and I may pour it back into them, they feel full. But if each person is not self-happiness, they have leakage in it, and after a while, the amount that they pour in is going to be less and less and less and less and less until two people are empty in a negative way, not possessing. And so there's a wise saying, there is no such thing as a happy family. There's no such thing as a happy couple. There is only a harmonious family or harmonious marriage couple. But if each person in the family is self-happy, then the family will be harmoniously happy. It begins with self-happiness. It begins with serenity. It begins with level 3 awareness and wisdom. Fortunately for me, I had that feeling when I met my wife. Yeah, I had that feeling that I was overflowing with, love. I wasn't completely happy, but enough so that I felt that sense of overflowing that I had to find another vessel to contain it. And fortunately for my wife, she was a person who is already happy. I can tell that much. There is nothing that I could do that would diminish her happiness. That can only contribute to helping her become more happy. Okay, that is the definition of a person who attains the attitude of serenity is someone for whom complete possession of or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy. Let's go to the second definition. Attitude of serenity, number 2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, here we go. So a person, oops, wait a minute. A person who attains the attitude of serenity is one who, when hearing and seeing the problems of others simply knows the hearing knows the seeing. Okay. Okay. So, second definition of the attitude of serenity. The person who attains the attitude of serenity is one who, when hearing and seeing the problems of others, simply knows the hearing and knows the seeing. So, here's a question. Typically, what do we do when we hear or see the problem of others? Typically, before we learn this, what do we do when we hear or see the problem of other people?
We just listen.
Okay, you're good. You may have initiated level 3 wisdom and serenity. What else do we do when we listen? After we listen, what happened?
We try to help them.
Yeah, usually we try to help them.
Yes.
Yeah. It turns out that not everybody have that degree of serenity. Oftentimes, when we hear the problem of others, let's say it's somebody we are really attached to, let's say our children, we usually worry. Right? We see our children get in trouble. Do we worry? Yeah, we worry. Sometimes we see an event or see somebody get in trouble and we feel what? Fear, worry, fear, anxiety, or maybe even angry. Our son gets beat up in school. Oh, can you remain serenity for? Yeah, no. We, typically it is very easy for us to go negative when we see the problem of others. But here's the thing. When we fear, when we worry, when we experience anxiety, what happened to our inner state? It goes negative. And by the law of causality, cause and effect, when you have a negative inner state, what happened to the fruit? If the inner seed is negative state, then your external circumstances, it's going to be negative. A father who sees his son getting beat up gets angry and goes and beat up the other kid. And before he knows it, he'll be in jail. That is if you don't have serenity. A woman whose friend comes and crying with her about her being abused by her husband. The woman sympathize or empathize, and then she would become angry and sad with her friend. So now we have two people who are sad and angry. A crowd of people may go to a peaceful protest, but a small group of people in that peaceful protest may decide to get angry. And other people without serenity get pulled along, and then now the entire crowd is now angry. That is how riot gets started. A nation, the entire country, when something wrong happens, another country did something bad, and they don't have serenity, pretty soon the entire country goes to war. Because the people within that nation does not have the attitude of serenity. When hearing and seeing the problem of others, simply knows the hearing and simply know the seeing. their mind and emotion takes over too quickly. But a person who attained the attitude of serenity is one who, upon hearing this and seeing the problem of others, simply knows the hearing and knows the seeing. So when it comes to experiencing or seeing and hearing the problem of other people, one of two things that we need to be to watch out for. Number one, we may sympathy. You may experience something called sympathy, which is pity. Be careful with that. With pity, what that happen is that we actually pushing ourselves into a state of arrogance. We think we're better than other people, so we pity them. The other state is the state of empathy, where we feel their pain. But if we are not careful, we feel their pain and we get dragged down with them. As I said, this is how riot and war started. We empathize with another person, and so we get dragged down with them. Or in the cases of counselors and psychologists, they would talk to patient, and the patient would tell them about the problems, and the counselor or the psychologist would empathize, and then they get dragged down with them. After a while, they experience stress, and then they will get sick themselves. So to maintain serenity, we have to simply know and simply hear. Just know the knowing and know the hearing. And when we know the knowing and know the hearing, then we experience the state of emptiness. We experience the state of serenity. And then the next decision, the next act, the next thought tend to become positive, soundness of decision, and clarity of choice. Yeah, that's the benefit of a person who has attained the attitude of serenity. When we simply know the hearing and simply know the seeing. It is not apathy. Okay, it is simply completely not apathy. Apathy is staying in that state. Okay, that's essentially what it means for a person who stay in a state of emptiness. They just don't sense anything. Nothing is good or bad, nothing is right or wrong. You just stay in that, and then you let the problem, take hold of the entire world. No, it is not apathy, it is not sympathy, it is not empathy. The word pathy means illness. But a person of serenity maintain the degree of emptiness and clarity long enough so that when it's time to make a decision, to use the mind to analyze and distinguish, or to use the emotion, then the mind and the emotion will be positive and balanced and positive. The choice that they make will be conducive to helping the other person and helping themselves and the world, as opposed to get dragged down by it. Okay. Third definition of serenity. I have enough space. Yeah, let's use number 3 on here. Third definition. Okay. That is one who thoroughly mastered the 3 important questions of human life. Okay, we already know what that is. Okay, one who thoroughly mastered the 3 important questions of human life. Who is the most important person in my life? When is the most important time of my life? And what is the most important thing to do? Okay, so the who is always the person in front of me. It's the most important person of my life. When? Right now. what to do? Care, concern for the person in front of me. And if we simply know the hearing and simply know the seeing, then we can also simply help the person in front of us to make better decision, to take responsibility for their root cause of life. If a friend or family comes and complain about their husband, their spouse, their wife, their circumstances, then we can, what better way to help them than to show them that the root cause of life begins with them. Don't let them go negative with blaming. If they're blaming and we allow them to go blaming, or we get pulled down with them, then we go negative with them. But we can help them by helping them see that the root cause of life begins with them. That all the choices in life begins with, all the outcome in life begin with choice. The choices are what they like, or they're simply compatible with who they are at that moment. They don't need to blame themselves and other people. Help them reach a state of serenity. Help them recognize that everything's is from the inner being and not from the problem themselves. Help them find the lesson in the problem. Help them be grateful for the lesson, the opportunity to learn, raise their energy. Help them attain a state of emptiness and serenity. Okay. Is that another definition? Okay. So, any questions so far? Any impressions so far with this definition of attitude? You can kind of see that we're beginning to light up that attitude candle in our house of holistic health. Okay. The attitude of serenity is pretty cool. Okay. And let's go back a little bit with that other definition, whereby it says that a person who attained the attitude of serenity is someone who is, for whom the complete possession or incomplete possession of material things that satisfy the nature of desire and imagination is no longer a determining factor of joy.
That one there,
Mm-hmm.
my life kind of related to that. I used to have everything. I had boats, I had 3 cars, I had a house by the lake, but I wasn't happy. I sold everything. With boats and things, you got all the maintenance and storage for the winters and all that kind of stuff. And it just seemed like a lot of work. So I sold everything, the house by the lake, everything, and moved into town, and made me a lot happier.
Okay.
Those are, I don't know. Out there, I didn't have serenity. Even though
Okay.
a lot of fun things, it's only 2 months of the year up here in Canada. In summer, we get hot, but winter months were cold.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into town seemed like more of a sensible thing for me to do. And it
Okay.
made me more serene.
Okay.
Yeah. Like material things they make you temporarily happy.
Material things. So first it was the boat and the cars, which is a material thing that satisfied a certain sense of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sold all of that and you traded for a life in the town. Then the question is, did that serenity comes from a place, a new thing, a new material thing? Or is that serenity come from a state of true emptiness? Because what happened if that town burns down? What happened if a bunch of neighbors started making rackets?
Yeah. It probably wasn't from my true self.
Yeah. So you that's fine. What you did was fine. So what you really did was you had before you had a certain material thing that satisfied a certain pleasure. And now when you trade that material stuff for different material stuff, it is a different sort of pleasure. Pleasure
Traveling.
for, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if the town burns down or people cause a racket, then you would not have the same. You would not feel any more serenity, and it is not serenity by this definition. It is some sort of pleasure, some kind of. It is actually. It's not. It is not serenity. It is this one. It is nature of rest. Rest and recreation. It is the nature of rest and and recuperation. It is our nature to lie down and not have it to deal with, effort and not to expend energy. It is satisfaction of the nature of rest. Rest
Mhm.
and recuperation. It is not true serenity. Inner peace is simply knowing that we're hearing, knowing that seeing. It is high energy and it is true, and therefore it never changes. In no matter what circumstances, no matter what goes on out here, that light is always there. That's why when I asked if the town burned down, if you say the town burned down, I feel perfectly fine, then yes, that will be true serenity. Get it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, good, good. I think that's 6:30. Let's see. Yeah, since you sold your okay, good. Let's do a little bit of for this next part. Also related to detachment from things. Okay. Of all the things that human being we get attached to, we get entangled with in terms of our desire and imagination, of all the things that we get entangled to, do we notice that we tend to get entangled with this one the most? Okay, money. Okay, money. You just shared me an example of money. All right, so what typically, what, even if it's let's talk about money with respect to business and stuff like that. Okay, typically, what do we use money for? Whether we are working for a company or we are owning our own monies. Typically, what is money for? Why do people go after money?
To live,
To live,
food.
food?
If you
Yeah.
have kids and you're raising your kids, supporting them, support
Yeah.
them.
Or if you have a business, right? The business is the bottom line is always the profit, right? Why else do we run a business? The bottom line is profit. What is the typical goal of business and money? Once we get the money, once we make the profit, what do we do with the money?
Mhm. Depending on what kind of business it is and what kind
Ultimately, why would anybody start a business in order to make money? At the end of the day, what do you do with the money? Whether
of
we're working for a job or we are the job, what do we do with the money?
save it.
We save it. Okay, good. That's good. For some people, either they save it or they use it. Either way, what they're really doing is they using the money to buy quality of life.
Oh, okay.
Right? Before you had your boat, your cars, that contribute to your quality of life. When that no longer feels appropriate, you sold it and you moved to town, you are still in search of a different quality of life. Right? And to simplify this thing, it's very simple. Quality of life is divided into three aspects. Inner being, our health, and our social relationship. Okay. That's how we define quality of life. Quality of life is made up of our inner being, the state of our inner being, our health, and our social relationship. Can you use money for something that does not fall into one of these categories? Can you think of any category for the use of money that does not fall into our inner being or our health or our social relationship?
You can't buy happiness.
Happiness is our inner being.
Yes.
We try. If we're healthy, we generally be happy. If we're married or have kids, then that is happiness can fall in any of this way. Happiness can be derived from pleasure, or happiness can be derived from serenity and inner peace. But in general, money is typically used to buy quality of life, whether it's our inner being or our health or our social relationship. For some of us, buying a new car or a boat will make us happy. That's our inner being going up. Other people go on vacation, take a yoga class, hire a trainer, improves our health. Other people buy our spouse, a diamond ring or coal. Okay, so
Mhm.
our money is essentially used to improve our quality of life, and it could be in any of those areas. However, if all we do is to use money to buy our quality of life, eventually the money will run out. And if our money runs out, then so will our quality of life go down. Right? People who retire and are on a fixed income, their quality of life goes down. They use money to take care of their health. And so in order to maintain quality of life, in order to make sure our inner being is always positive, make sure our health and our social relationship is positive, we need to turn this into an engine of self-generation. We have to use our quality of life in order to make money. We have to use our quality of life to make money. If we have good health, we still have good health, we want to continue to making money. If we have social relationship, we want to use that to make money. But it is not enough to make money just for ourselves, because after a while, it's gonna be like a pool that is stagnant. The people who really experience happiness are the people who turn this engine into value creation. Value creation. Okay. By creating value for other people in a business, for example, we make money. The money is used to buy quality of life. And when our life improves, we contribute back into the money and we create more value. It is the use of the law of cyclical rotation that will make sure that our quality of life, our value, and our money is always flowing and positive. Because if we don't, let's say we hold on to money, if we do nothing, like you said, we make money, you just save it, you just put it in the bank. If we just put our money in the bank, after a while, our health may go down, our social relationship and our inner being goes down. And we're going to need money to pay for that. Right? If we don't focus on improving our quality of life now, and eventually we're going to have to use money to pay for our quality of life. But if we understand serenity, if we understand attitude, then we can make sure that our inner being is healthy, our health is also good, our social relationship is good. Then the money can be used to create more value, and which in turn will bring back more money, and then we can use that to improve our quality of life. But if we are a person who spend all the time, let's say, creating value for other people, and we don't focus on our own inner being, our health, our social relationship, we have no money, for example, then when our inner being, our health, our social relationship, gets in trouble, we have no money to pay for it. So a person of wisdom, especially of level 3, is a person who is able to make use of all of these source concepts, and that they are constantly able to rotate between moving forward or staying in one place. They understand that we're accumulating money as well as spending money and using it. We are improving our quality of life as well as creating value for other people. Because if it stays in one place, it's like a stagnant pool. It will stink up, and then it will tend to go away. Our inner being, our health, our social relationship, and our money will go away as well. And the only way to do that is to detach from it. Okay, to see money is simply as something that is part of the engine of value creation. People who give all the money away and have no plan for it will not be able to experience a lot of quality of life for very long either. I imagine you just give all the money away and you have no plan for it. Just let other people do it. We become destitute. We have no engine to create value. If we're a billionaire and we give $1 billion to a billion person, each person only gets $1. That's not very wise. But if we just kind of focus our attention on, let's say, a certain area of the population, and we create value in such a way that help other people raise their awareness, help people help other people. That is the kind of value creation that we want to be engaging with our use of money. Help people help other people. Invest in the kind of value creation that will create more value. And then at some point, we'll talk more about the triangle of reality of money. Money has a material manifestation, it has an energy manifestation, and it also has an informationalization. Money on a physical material aspect is very limited. What's in our bank, what we can touch and feel, we can hold. That is limited to what we have. But a person who can understand money on an energetic level, that is a recognition that people are money. Right? Rich people, business people, they recognize that people are money. They might not have any cash on hand, but by recognizing that wherever there are people, there are opportunities to make money, and thereby they can become very rich. From an informational perspective, people who understand that money is just information, having a business plan is money. Right? Having a business idea, a value creating idea, that is money on an informationalization aspect. And with information, then the amount of money you have is essentially unlimited. Whereas the physical material money is just what we have in the bank. But informationalization of money is unlimited. But it requires a person to be detached from the physical money that they have. it requires an attitude of serenity, willing to let it go so that it can come back in terms of value. That's all I have. What do you get so far out of it today? What are some impression?
Really,
Lesson, impression?
the value creation,
Yeah,
money aspect of it,
yeah.
quality of life. Yeah, I actually got quite a bit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for if you have been
I'm
fortunate.
understanding it more as the more I do this, the more I understand it. So
Yeah.
I know I have all these notes already, but I wrote them all down again. The more I write them down, the more I remember everything too. So
Yeah. There are rich people who will leave their entire inheritance to their children in the will. But they have no way of guarantee that their children will be able to keep those money. The kids may just spend it in a single decade or a few years.
couple of
The
days.
really wise rich people leaves not the money to the kid, but
Yeah.
the business plan, the ideas, the philosophy of life. They will empower the children to create values.
Mhm.
These are the dynasty, these are the family that have been passing down trade secrets or the way of life that makes their family benefit from many generations.
Yeah.
So we can start about thinking about what we want to leave to the next generation, not just the physical money, but the ideas and the philosophy of life, so that even without us, even without the money, the children can still create their own money, create their own value, and enjoy a life of holistic health and holistic wealth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I really enjoyed it today. I'm really starting to grasp a lot of things. Like the three wisdoms, I was forgetting which order they were in. And
yeah, now you get that. You want to repeat that to see if you get the order right?
what's that, sorry?
Yeah, repeat. So you see, if it's clear to you, can you can you say it back in a way that is clear? Which level is which, etc.
Wisdom level 1 is being good or bad versus good and bad,
Okay.
should and should not. And level 2 is that is the root cause of my life. Everything begins with me and there's no blame.
Okay.
And level 3 is emptiness, where let go of everything. Clear the mind, like when you see and hear, just let it go. Go to serenity rather than jumping to emotion and into your mind. And when you do that, you can either analyze and then go back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with your money?
Yeah. What am I going to do with my money? I got to think about that one yet.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And if you take the finance course, it says that if you have no plan for your money, somebody will have a plan for your money. In other words, if you have no plan to use your money, somebody else will use your money. If it sits around, somebody will ask to borrow it, somebody will try to steal it.
Yeah.
My wife and I are very grateful for the financial class that we put together a budget. Yeah, we talked about that, right? The budget over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. Whenever we need to help somebody, we just look at our charity budget, our honoring gratitude budget, and we say, oh, okay, we have enough money, we to help. If we don't have enough money, sorry, that's it. We have a plans already, so there's no need to worry, no need to plan. Everything is already set in a budget, and we look forward to creating values and
I already have a bit of a budget for charity, which I do every month
great.
for a certain organization. And it's I got to start thinking more about that too.
Okay, and then now that we understand value creation, we also understand that from a blessings and merit perspective, right? From the good and bad fortune perspective, if if we enjoy a good fortune, that means we are using up the credit in our good fortune account. It'll be good health, good wealth, good relationship. Every time we enjoy a good fortune, we are actually using up a good fortune credit in our good fortune account. When we help another person, essentially they are enjoying the good fortune of being helped. So when we help a person, we can think about, oh, okay, you got to be careful. If let's say they are already in trouble, if they're in trouble, that means they are low on good credit in a good fortune. And if we help them, that means we're actually causing them to use more of the good fortune. And what's going to be left is negative fortune. Their life, you may help them instantly at that moment, but their lives may actually get worse in the long run. And so instead of just helping people with cash, we help people to create value.
Yes.
Right? That is what Master Thorn is trying to do. He's giving us the ability and opportunity to create values. And when we help a person create value, then their life will go up. It will guarantee that they will accumulate those positive fortune into their spiritual account, and they will encounter more positivity as opposed to just handing out. Yeah. So education is one good investment for another person if you're trying to set a budget for your money.
When our body decides to leave this world, you can't take it with you.
We cannot take the money with us.
No.
We cannot, we can, the only thing that we can take with us to the next, life or wherever is our soul, which carries an energy charge, positive or negative, as a causal outcome of the good deed that we've done or the bad deed that we've done, as well as the wisdom merit, or whether we have elevated other people or not.
Yeah.
And so when we have enough good positive fortune energy, then our next life will be better. Or if we have enough wisdom merit, then we may have the choice of not having to come back.
So if you're helping somebody that's struggling with cash, then you're actually losing merits or blessings, or
Say again?
if you're helping somebody with cash,
Mm-hmm.
are you losing
Yeah.
blessings and merit?
Well, we are, when we are helping another person, when they feel good, we get credit. When they feel good, we get credit. Okay. But inadvertently, over a long time, after they use that, when we get credit, we're essentially using their credit. Okay. When we're helping other people, we're taking their credit away from them. So we're actually hurting them. So it opens a new dimension, a new level of thinking and awareness. It's not as simple as just, feeding the homeless. Feeding the homeless is fine if they're hungry, but if we feed the homeless and they eat and we don't give them the tool to improve themselves, then we may be, we're going to get more fortune because we're actually taking their fortune. Our life is going to get better, but they are not. They will continue to be dependent.
Them knowledge, then that would give them a credit. And
yeah, if you give them knowledge to help themselves, at the same time feeding them because they're physically in need, so we have to empower them. We have to give them the need to eat and the basic need, right? Loving kindness, the basic needs, need to eat and drink and be safe and all that stuff. But at the same time, we have to empower them with knowledge and ability to help themselves and to create value for other people. There is no other way for them to improve their life in this life or the next. Yeah. That's more of a spiritual perspective.
yes.
Yeah, the religious and spiritual perspective. You have to combine the golden rule along with Zen Buddhism to fully understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. Your schedule, what time do you have to wake up to, so you said 12 midnight you have class?
Midnight, there's a class tonight. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well, I don't have to work tomorrow, so that's a good thing. Because it
Okay.
finishes at 2:30. Normally I get up at 4:45
But that class is gonna be continuing, right?
for 26 days. Yeah. And
So
there's,
you're gonna be doing that for the next 26 days?
yeah. Well, I think they're already 5 days into it. I missed a couple nights because I was working.
Okay, okay.
But the nights or the days we were with you, we were going that night as well. And
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
well done, okay. Well,
lots of knowledge.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Okay.
right. I was thinking of finding a time to do some exercise together, but I haven't, with you jumping into the studying, what time do you study, do you exercise? Do you have a time to exercise?
Um, I- when I have time, I'll exercise. I
But
don't,
whenever you can, you don't have a fixed schedule? Yeah,
no fixed schedule right now. No.
okay,
We
that's fine.
do go for walks when I'm home, we go for walks together, but if I'm at work, I'm walking all day anyway, so usually walk about 17 kilometers when we're at work.
If you walk with Serenity, then you can really call that exercise.
Yeah.
But if you walk and you stress out, people who come into my health clinic and they say, "Oh, I don't exercise, but I walk, 12 miles a day, and but I'm stressing while I'm walking." That's not exercise.
Oh, that's not exercise.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
thanks for joining this evening. Okay, I'm grateful for your presence.
Yes. Thank you, Frank. And I'm
See you
very
next week.
grateful for your sharing. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.